Facebook page. As Guyanese critic let us know, this show does not reflect his opinions. It reflects my own and my team's, because we believe that everyone has the right to opinion. So I guess technically speaking, you could say I'm the second realest thing out of Guyana. No? All right, you see, those are the bad jokes we're going to be coming up with. All right, I'm going to jump straight into everything for you guys. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to assess, again, as I told you initially, everyday life in Guyana. So I want very quickly, every day, just to go through the papers on our show, just as our headlines, just to take a look at what's happening currently as up to date as I possibly can. So the first thing, our news comes to us through two newspapers that I like to think, although a little bit crazy, try to be unbiased as possible. So we go through Kaieteur, but I guess that's all media in Guyana, right? We're going to start by looking at Kaieteur and Stabroek newspapers' headlines. So right off the bat, you look at the headlines in Kaieteur News. Taxi driver is hijacked by passenger. Well, I feel like I read that in the papers every day, so that in no way, shape, or form is a unique headline. But I actually was reading online recently, I think it was today or yesterday, that a taxi driver was actually caught with an illegal gun. His excuse was that he needs to protect himself. Well, let's start with understanding the basics. In no way, shape, or form is committing an illegal act acceptable. It's not going to be promoted, and if that requires jail time, if that requires punishment by law, then it's so understandable. But what we like to do here, as I said, is look at things from a little bit of a different perspective. So what my issue is here is understanding why an average Guyanese worker, a taxi driver, which there are numerous of in this country, why does he need to carry a gun? Right? And these are the type of ideas that I think we need to start thinking about and understanding as a society. As I read it, I moved on to the Stabroek News headline, and it says, DPP advises criminal charges against Dion Bascom. Well, we all know this ongoing situation. And what I'm worried about is, who exactly is this taxi driver supposed to turn to for protection? If the next headline is the police are recommending criminal charges against the police?
Oh my God!
Let's be realistic. They are attacking each other while criminals are attacking us. So who exactly is protecting? And these are the type of things that we got to start understanding in our society. Unless we get these situations dealt with, on these fundamental requirements dealt with, security, education, health, the basic stuff dealt with, then we're going to continue on this path. I know a lot of us will sit here and say, well, the government has just stepped into place. And a lot of you might know me. I was part of the whole election saga. The truth of the matter is we're 2 years in now. But more importantly, we're 2 years in after only a 5-year hiatus with another government, in which this same government was in for 25 years, thereabouts. So I'm going to be realistic here. These are not new problems. It's not like crime has just started. We got to understand that we have to start looking at things from different perspectives here, and actually as a society demanding more. And that's why we're doing this show. We're looking at things as apolitically as possible. We're looking at things as unbiasedly as possible and objectively as possible. All right? So let me jump straight in after this, because a large part of what we're doing here is our timings. I only have an hour with you guys, so I'm trying to run through this as much as I possibly can, as quickly as I can. So what I'm going to do right now is I have my trusty phone here. I'm going to bring up some other headlines from during this week in the news, and this was some heavy flooding. So heavy flooding that, interestingly enough, came after quite the heat wave that the whole globe experienced. And again, it just kind of shows that climate change is a lot more real than we're thinking. And I think it's something, especially now with Guyana becoming an emerging oil nation, we are going to have a much larger impact on the environment. All right, this is something that Guyana needs to start taking more seriously. So what I have here are two images of flooding in South, in Georgetown, and here you have two images from a month apart. So let's be realistic here. I have here a very typical image, a very straightforward image of our regular flooding in South. And then here, 1 month later, I have His Excellency President Irfan walking through South in long boots. Now, these are the kind of things that get me frustrated. Does anybody think that flooding is new in South or anywhere else in Guyana for that matter? Is this like a new topic that we're now addressing? Oh my gosh, here's a photo up. The president walks through South in long boots. We're flooding, we're addressing this problem. I mean, let's be realistic. As I just said, this government was in place 25 years previous to the last 7. It's been flooding since Guyana became a nation. So when I see things like this, I can also, I argue, what exactly is the point in you showing us that South is flooding? What exactly is the reason for this? And I have to, continue on. It's another interesting point that I found, another comical point, is that I've noticed recently, every time something like this happens in the country, the government springs up a wonderful new headline that states, all of a sudden, here's a brand new project a couple years in the making. So here I have another headline that says, new 4-lane highway coming through Cemetery Road. Well, I will turn to you right now and say, I'm not sure how we're getting to Cemetery Road in this wonderful new 4-lane. I appreciate it being built. But if we can't address the problems that we're currently facing, then where exactly are we going? Because I have now a society of people that need to use a canoe to get out of their homes, to paddle onto this new 4-lane highway through Cemetery Road. Let's be realistic, guys. We are facing real issues here in Guyana, and we're dealing a lot more with real issues that are addressing us every day that need to be resolved before we very quickly jump into other issues or masking over these issues with new fantastic projects. I know a lot of people, again, are going to be very critical and skeptical of what I'm saying, but the truth of the matter is we're still Guyanese here living every single day that have to deal with the same problems we've been dealing with our whole lives every single day. And some can argue that maybe we should address those problems before we start working on new projects. All right. Moving on very quickly to our second topic. So guys, bear with me. We do have a little bit of imaging. As it's a new show, we're now kind of starting. And I was now told by my team that you guys did not hear me at the beginning. You guys have no idea who I am. My name is Kian Jabour. The name of this show is Apolitically Incorrect Guyana. And it's a new talk show that I've started here on the Critics platform because I believe that there are a lot of pressing issues in Guyana that need to be looked at from an objective respect. So we are here and we are moving forward as quickly as possible. Rubber boots and filaria. They told me to make this joke because apparently in order to get out of South Rumvelt, you need to have rubber boots and make sure you take your filaria tablets because it doesn't seem like the flooding is going to end anytime soon. Moving forward, we now have in our second segment, and I want to make this clear as well, we're not particularly focusing only on issues that are affecting all of Guyanese. We look at issues globally, we look at social issues, we look at pop culture issues, but we look at them from as I said, again, an angle that affects us here as Guyanese. So this situation kind of stressed me out, and I had to bring it to light because I believe there are a lot of people that have been paying attention to it. Recently in the world media, we had the Finnish Prime Minister, a young woman, 36 years old. Her name is Sanna Marin. She has come under scrutiny and outrage. And I like my team made sure they highlighted sparked outrage because this young politician decided that she was going to have a party in her private home and she was going to dance. Could you believe that? This has sparked international news. So this young woman has now danced and has been questioned all across her entire personal life to the point where they've made her take a drug test. Well, listen. Well, listen, we're in Guyana here. All right. And I think this is very, very important to understand. If I were to take Miss Marin to Sawaya in Anna Regina, Zenon in Charity, we could go up to Little Rock in Burbies, right here in Georgetown. I hope she understands that dancing is a large part of our culture, and understanding that these types of situations are political gimmicks. And I like to bring this up as a reality of life here in Guyana, is understanding that a lot of what we're faced with is distraction. This is a young woman with a personal life. And at the end of the day, here in Guyana, I'm going to show you guys a clip of what we're about. And we have to understand that we always need to shed a little humor and understanding, a little deeper of why these types of things take headlines. All right? We are going to move very quickly because I'm going to be honest with you guys. We have a lot more videos for you guys, but I unfortunately am looking at myself here and I'm not seeing them. So, so let us have a little conversation quickly about another headline that has been bothering me over the past couple of months. All right. Oh, here we go. Dancing in Guyana. Again, technical difficulties. Hey, this looks like Miss Marin, doesn't it? And again, you know, I can argue. What's interesting about this topic to me is I actually took what was most offensive about this is that if it was a young male politician, would this situation have even existed? Is this realistic? I mean, this is something that took international news. And we here in Guyana, as young politicians, and even tomorrow I'm on the Freddie and Kissoon show as a young politician. At what point do we draw the lines between our personal lives and public lives, right? Do I get to take a day off of politics at some point? No, which is understandable. But at the same time, scrutiny of being a normal human being must be accepted as well. And that's a lot of what we face here in Guyana as young politicians. Scrutiny into our personal lives. Something that needs to be addressed, and understanding that everything that you see and you read is not necessarily the realities of what we're facing. This is, a lot of times it's a distraction. All right. And a lot of what we're getting into here and showing on this show is understanding that side of it. I'm just going to take this out because I much prefer to hear myself speak. All right. The next segment, this is one of my favorites over the last couple of days, is black belly sheep. Black belly sheep. Guyana has embarked on a new, the government of Guyana has embarked on a new project in which they've been importing black belly sheep from Barbados. And I appreciate inter-Caribbean business. Let's start there. But I'm not sure at which point I missed that we had a sheep shortage. As a matter of fact, all the weddings I have gone to recently seem to be an abundance of curry. So when I come to and I read, these types of headlines, I realize that, there's a little bit more going on behind the scenes. I decided, I tried to do a little bit of research on my own, and I was speaking to a little bit of a few of the employees from the GLDA and so on, the livestock department for the government. And I found out that apparently Guyana has had black belly sheep for many years now. This is not something new to Guyana. I then realized that they had mentioned that 1,000 are coming in, I think, on the first shipment. I think we got 132 sheep. There's a lot more to these topics because I look at these types of situations and I realize, first of all, is the infrastructure set up for these sheep? Who is getting these sheep? These sheep are part of a breeding program, from what I understand. How long do these sheep take to breed? Are they breeding in our back dams? Or on the road like the rest of the sheep that we see? But more importantly, we are in a situation right now where it was noticed that it was brought in by the government to reduce our food import bill. How much sheep do we import? I didn't know we had a sheep shortage to begin with. So I always question, where exactly has this project even emerged from? I appreciate helping people. I appreciate these projects coming online and streamed, but again, the decision making, like who woke up one day and said, you know what we need? More sheep. You know how we are going to solve Guyana's problem? Sheep. Sheep. Well, as I mentioned, we're looking at a little bit of humor here. And my personal understanding is we have an abundance of sheep because I understand that they're used more for dowries than anything else. So, so that I appreciate. I'm going to be monitoring this sheep situation a little bit more closely because I do want to see exactly where taxpayers' money are going and understanding where exactly society is going to benefit from these types of projects. I myself have done a lot of farming in the past. It was one of my businesses previously. So I know that it is a lucrative business, but understanding that there are certain gaps that need to be filled. And I personally had sheep on my farm and it was not a gap that needed to be filled. So, all right. So here we go. Again, these headlines are coming up and I'm missing them completely. Oh, there we are. This is one of my favorite ones. This is what I feel. This is a little bit of humor from the team. This is what I feel like the government is doing to appease us. You get a sheep. You get a sheep. Everyone apparently gets sheep. So apparently sheep will solve our problems. I feel like a sheep I feel like a sheep being given sheep. All right. So we're going to move on to another topic. We got to see how our timing is going because I don't want to take up too much space. So another area that I'm looking at that brought a little bit of humor to my day was this UG promise by the current main opposition. So from what I understood, UG has now been promised once again to be made free, providing we put the government, we change our government back to the APNU AFC, and they are going to make UG free. This bothers me because I feel like I just heard our current government promise UG to become free. And then previous to that, before APNU went into power, they promised for UG to be free. So at what point in time will UG become free? These are the campaign promises. These are the directions. This is the misleading nonsense that we're looking at facing on a daily basis. And I understand the Guyanese. I understand the politicians need to fill the Guyanese heads with whatever hope and promises they can come up with. Because we understand that society in Guyana, living in Guyana, life in Guyana is a struggle. It's not an easy task. So hope is obviously the best tool to control, to manipulate. So I sit here and I hear free UG again. This is another promise like 50% salary increase for our public servants. That one actually made me laugh a little bit too, because I believe that the government then recently came out with a statement saying they never promised such things. Well, here we go back to campaign promises over and over that are affecting society regularly, that are not being addressed, that are not being looked at from an objective perspective. How many times are we going to be promised free this, free that, and hope that the next government will give it to us? Stop the flooding. Make salaries better. Free UG. These are all things that are coming up on a regular basis as regular campaign promises that we are once again stuck with as hoping, being pushed further and further down the line. At what point is it going to stop? So, what do we have now? How are we looking on time, team? I have my wonderful team in the... We are almost at something called our halftime. I like to take a little break because I think a lot of information is processed very quickly here. So I think we're going to take a little half. I think it's only like 3 minutes long. There's a few clips that I want us to run. that I'm hoping we're going to be able to show you guys, to spread a little lighter humor on life in Guyana. So again, let me know what's happening with our technical difficulties. Are we? Oh, I think we are. Nope, we're back. No, guys, this is our first show. We expect some teething issues, and there's no better way to learn than trial by fire. All right. So the team is going to signal me when they're ready for halftime. All right. Are we ready, or should I?
I'm a genie in a bottle. You gotta rub me the right way.
You could bring it in a bottle, you could bring it in a flask, you could send it in a cup, you could bring it in a glass of warm. Me rum in the morning, warm. Me rum in the evening.
I'm a genie in a bottle. You gotta rub me the right way.
You could bring it in a bottle, you could bring it in a flask, you could send it in a cup, you could bring it in a glass of warm. Me rum in the morning, warm. Me rum in the evening.
I'm a genie in a bottle. You gotta rub me the right way.
Quick and easy. We are back live. All right, this video. Oh,
Now you are.
now we're back live. I hope you all can hear me. Quick and easy. This video made my day. This video made my day. The team is always scrolling through social media. Guys, keep posting nonsense, please, because it fills our light with a little bit of laughter. I know, as I told you guys at the beginning of the show, life in Guyana isn't easy. And we're looking at any little ways we can come up with a little bit of, humor to shed some love in what's happening here. All right, we're going to jump into our next segment. I do have a segment of the show in which you guys can please put some comments in our live section. All right, under the page as the show goes on. Please ask some questions. The team is looking for questions that they're going to throw at me halfway through that I'm happy to answer for you guys. I know a lot of people, are very curious as to where this show came about, what we're doing, what our objective is with a show like this. All right, let's jump into some more headlines. A new segment number 5. We have in the news within the last week, and this is nice for the private sector, but again, something that bothers me tremendously. We've had our Vice President, Jagdeo, make mention that he is very upset, very, very upset with these oil companies taking 90 days to pay their contractors. These are local contractors. These are hard-working Guyanese that are getting oil contracts in their huge multi-million-dollar businesses. Some even smaller, agreed. But let's be realistic. Those with the listening ear are the larger companies. All right? And again, Exxon and such oil companies deal with certain structure of companies that need to be put in place. So you can argue that most of these companies are worth in the millions. Why this type of topic I find humorous is because I have nurses on my page. I read in the papers about public servants, whether it be doctors or nurses or police or ministry staff, that every day wait sometimes up to 6 months to be paid from the government. So you tell me. We have the vice president fighting for the companies that are selling to oil companies. And then we have our public servants. One hand is paid in 90 days, and they're very upset about it. And then we have another hand that are paid in 6 months. So what is this? A friends and family thing? Is a boys club thing? You tell me exactly who is being fought for here. Is it the average Guyanese? Or is it the ones that have fought for this local content issue and have now decided, here's another thing we need to add. We need our money faster. As much as I'm sure some of them do, because we all know how business goes sometimes. Again, let's not be biased. Let's not sit down and pick and choose who we are defending. All right? Don't tell me 2 years into a term, we have not streamlined public servant salaries. I think the only raise they've recently gotten is a 7% raise. I don't even, after, again, a 50% was promised, but we're not going to say anything about that. Again, I like the local content issue because it came up another issue. What I found is let's start with the basics. The local content issue, for example, only covers the oil sector. So another headline, it's right here. Another headline, TNT company taking over taxi service at the Marriott.
Oh my God!
TNT company taking over taxi service at the Marriott. We try to look at things from a different perspective. And I like the example of Cyril's taxi company, who started off as a very basic small business, couple cars. The oil companies came in. The company then expanded up their service and grew into one of the most respectable companies in this country once they were given the opportunity. And now I'm watching another company come in and take over the Guyana Marriott taxi service. By the way, just to throw this out there, the Guyana Marriott is run by the government. The board of directors is a government-appointed board. So my question again is, would preference not be given to local companies? How exactly have we decided that a foreign company, a taxi service that we have numerous of here in Guyana, gets to come in and take over? I can even argue that the taxi drivers that they're claiming they're going to hire could have opened their own company if given the financing tools, if given the opportunity and resources. Why couldn't they, again, much like Cyril's taxi service, have expanded into a respectable local company, something bigger, another opportunity lost for Guyanese? Well, here we go. I like to talk about the local content issue because, again, that local content issue is only covering the local, the local oil industry. Let me have a little word that bothers me quite a bit about this, something that I've looked into recently, about the Local Content Act. So what I found is the Local Content Act goes extensively into contracts given to local companies from the oil industry. Here's what bothers me. All right. Here's what I think was missed. And again, a group of Guyanese overlooked. There's not a whole lot in there about the young professionals working in the oil industry, the young engineers, the young doctors, the young technicians that are sitting in those oil companies, sitting next to one of these expats brought into the country to do the exact same job they're doing, now years in, with years of experience, and being paid not even a percentage, being paid next to nothing compared to what these guys are, these expats are being given. On top, they're given drivers, they're given house allowance, they're given travel allowance. Let's be realistic about this. At the end of the day, are we not looking out only for our locals? Is this not our main priority at this stage in our new budding economy? We are flourishing. Are these the opportunities that are not to be given? Something like being paid in an international industry, shouldn't they be paid international standards? These are the type of things that I'm arguing. These are the type of things that I'm trying to come forward with to shed some light on. I would like our professionals in this country, whether it be in the private sector or the public sector, to not be only given the option to leave Guyana to make a comfortable living. I did a piece recently, I'm going to talk about it on our next show. I did a piece recently, just a little survey on my Facebook page, on my personal Facebook page, trying to figure out what salary is necessary to live a comfortable life in Guyana. Okay, it was a wonderful question. I got a phenomenal response from it. And when I said a comfortable life, I tried to make it as narrow as possible. And I encourage you all to go down, and take a read on it. But to be honest with you, it really took me, I really had to take a step back in understanding what exactly we are living in a country that just raised our minimum wage to 60,000, and what exactly it costs to live comfortably here in Guyana. Have a little bit of savings, take care of your children, buy a car, buy a house, those type of things. So something we're going to cover in our next show to stay tuned for. All right, here we go. We're moving on to our next segment. But nonetheless, another big one in the news this week was August crime numbers. We had 11 murders in 15 days. Now, I'm just going to read a few facts here because I think it's important that I get these statistics right. These are, first of all, harrowing statistics. And I think it's important to note that most of these crimes are committed interpersonally, meaning the murderers knew the victims. So that has a part to play in, I guess, our mental health situation here in Guyana. Another interesting topic that's affecting us very deeply socially, and something that we don't appreciate how deep and multi-tiered it is in a lot of the other issues we're experiencing: crime, suicide, those type of things in the society. So we had 11 victims died. However, there were several other attempts. So these numbers, again, could have been much, much more because these people luckily got away with their lives. All right. Weapons included things like cutlasses, knives, guns, strangulation. I mean, you really have to be a mentally unstable person to strangle someone. But again, a little bit more serious. In mid-July, our police commissioner reported that the statistics showed a 15% decrease in serious crimes, which included murder, armed robbery, and rape. Now, the first thing I think is important to mention, as I'm sure every single Guyanese will appreciate, is the fact that these are just the reported crimes. We're not even talking about the numbers of unreported crimes that all of us here face every single day, much like my friend, the taxi driver, okay, who was caught, unfortunately, with an illegal arms. Again, no reason, no right that he should have done that, no excuse to doing that, but again, put in a position that these guys, us as Guyanese, face every day. As a matter of fact, me personally, I just had one of my own employees robbed trying to deliver some food. This was maybe a couple of days ago. And this is something that happens almost on a weekly basis. So how do we address these type of situations? Being more straightforward is education. All right? Dealing with our mental health issues is our first part. And then education. Right? This is combated by creating a situation in society that people can earn an honest living and have a comfortable life. All right? We are going to move on to... They want me to talk about gun control. I don't want to talk about gun control because the amount of guns that are on this road illegally is already a terrifying reality. And the reality is, what exactly would you like me to say? Mr. Commissioner, Guyana Police Force, can you please do something about the illegal guns on the road? They seem to be too busy fighting amongst themselves. Moving on. All right, here we have now. We are going to jump into... I don't want to do that one yet. I want to do my Q&A. I have to get straight into my Q&A. I have a very weird one here that I'm going to do soon. So, my Q&A very quickly because I know I only have 10 minutes. Q&A. Am I still with Anug? Who asked that? Yes, of course I'm with Anug. Anug is a political organization that I'm an executive in, and I try to look at Anug as being a very nice balance in the country, a third-party force that took part in previous elections. We have a seat in Parliament that we're heading into in March, and I'm very much looking forward to the prospects of Anug coming up to our 2025 elections. We have two political organizations that have been dominating this country for the last couple of years, and I think it's time that we start looking at things in a more accountable and transparent way, and that is the goal of Anug. It's not to take out, this is what people get confused with. The principle of democracy is majority rule. Meaning, if majority of these people in this country want PPP to run the country, then the country has to have a PPP government. I actually like President Ali. I think the country, compared to what it was previously, is definitely on a better path. What I would like to see more of is accountability and transparency. Nobody can argue that corruption is not rampant. Nobody can argue that crime is not under control. Nobody can argue that our healthcare system is still in shambles, or flooding, or this or that. And the list goes on. What I'd like to ensure, and Anug's mission is to ensure that the government in Parliament is held accountable. If you say this money is going to these projects, then that's where it needs to go. It's a minority government created. Our government, a lot of people argued why we haven't heard from you guys in so long. And the truth of the matter is, our job is not to hamper the government from doing their job. Our job is not to just criticize every single thing. All right? Our job is to ensure that all Guyanese are benefiting, not just select few through corrupted methods, etc. Our job is to ensure that we're looking at things objectively, we're looking at things from both sides, and we're making sure that Guyana moves forward at a pace that no Guyanese are left behind with. All right, what are the objectives of this show? Well, what I'd like to do is I'd like to try, I know things have seemed a little serious thus far, and I'm trying to work on my humor, but I'm not the funniest person in the world, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to come up and create a little bit more, a little bit more understanding, shed a little bit more relevance on, or transparency on issues that are affecting everyday Guyanese. I think we need a platform that we can address certain topics in a much more comfortable setting, in a much more light setting, and maybe find some solutions to our problems, because I believe that I think is key. Solutions to all of our problems. And it's important that we get feedback from you guys, because the more solutions we can come up with, the better. I have more. So somebody's asking if I can address the Anug elections. So this is funny to me, because Guyana is something I like to refer to as hyper-political, meaning we're so small. Our society is dependent on our government. They're the largest employers, they're the largest spenders. So they drive the economy. Because of that, politics is intertwined with everything. So this person is asking me what happened with the Anug elections. It's an issue that was referred to a couple of days ago by an ex-member. And to be very honest with you, I am on the Freddie Kissoon and Gildari show tomorrow that I'm going to be addressing this topic, because I don't like to just sit down here and spew my version of it. I'd like for the host of that show to ask me exactly what happened, and I'm extremely happy to address it. So please make sure you tune in tomorrow at 7:30. All right? And I promise you I will be addressing what exactly happened at the Anug election. All right? Which honestly is not that exciting, but happy to let you know. Happy to let you know exactly the undercover secret details. There's no secret details. All right. This is another issue. Good. We're jumping back into the real world. So I asked them not to make this the headline, but the headline states Jackio versus Afro-Guyanese. Listen to me. This is not the situation. This is an Afro-centered organization in which we've recently is seeing in headlines that there has been some question to the accountability when it comes to the money that has been given to this Coffee 250 organization, and where it has been spent and what the problems were, and where it has been, siphoned or stolen or whatever the words were that they wanted to use. Well, we're back now to transparent, third-party, objective perspectives. My question is, because I read this article and I listened to the press conference, it was made known that this money has been given to this organization from the government, and let's just make something clear, the government doesn't have any money, okay? The taxpayers have money. So The government has been giving this organization taxpayers' money, and this money has been misused. Well, here's what caught my attention. This money has not been given, was not given to this organization yesterday or last week. This has been years now that this organization has been given money. I am not here to speculate where the money has been spent. As a matter of fact, the Coffee 250 organization, or they call themselves IDP-ADA/G, irrelevant to me, because this organization has, again, is not the government. I don't pay taxes to this organization. So my question to the government is, if you knew for years now, as mentioned, that this organization has been siphoning money away and misspending and misusing, why have you been still giving them money? What exactly has caused you now to create a ruckus about all these years of misspending? That's my question to you. Because the truth of the matter is, again, 5, 6, 7, 8 years going on, hundreds of millions of dollars, completely misused and misspent. Why have you kept giving them? This is illogical. It's not realistic. Okay, and these are the kind of things that I don't understand. Just the argument has been that this organization has decided that they are getting political now, and let's be honest with you, it's not now. This organization has been political for some time now. The chair of it is Vincent Alexander, who is a GCOM commissioner that on the PNC side or APNU side. So this organization has been political for some time now. Why have you continued to give them money knowing they're misspending it? These are the type of nonsense that I would like to spread a little bit of light on, that I'm not dealing with anymore. All right? Again, trying to look at it as objectively as I possibly can. I agree that they're misspending the money. I agree that this is an issue. Why do we keep giving them? This is something that taxpayers, I think, need to be a little bit more focused on. All right, moving on. So we have a little bit, we did our Q&A. Okay, moving on. We have only 9 minutes left. Is that correct, team?
Correct.
Correct. We have to speak about two more headlines. We have monkeypox. Well, that's an issue. It's a very big issue. It's not that big of an issue. Don't pull up the thing yet. This is not how monkeypox is spread. This is my info to the public, okay? This is my fact check. That was not how monkeys have nothing to do with this. So, more importantly, let's talk about monkeypox. Monkeypox is spread through intimate contact, as we all know. What I'd like to tell you is, first of all, please leave the monkeys alone. We've been noticing that the monkeys have been, dealing with a little bit of pressure from this. Please leave the monkeys alone. But more importantly, we, once again, are the root cause of these issues. Okay? The picture depicted a poor monkey and another poor monkey doing things that humans are obviously doing a little too much of, which is what is causing the spread of monkeypox. I'm embarrassed for my team. Okay, this is the kind of nonsense that I'm trying to avoid. I'm trying to get serious, and these guys obviously have a different agenda. So, please guys, read the headlines. Don't do bad things. Don't trouble monkeys. And try not to do bad things to each other. Okay? Let's have a little class in our society here. Okay? Guys, I think we are getting closer to our wrapping up time. We had a good first show. All right? We have more coming to you guys next week. I have a lot of... another big issue that I'm going to be addressing next week is the environmental issues that we're going to be focusing on. It's okay, guys. We can not run, not run the full time. You guys can just wait till I close off. Some environmental issues. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about some of the issues that we're facing here in society when it comes to... What were the other things? There were some other issues that... You guys have thrown me off of this monkeypox situation. I'm just very, very uncomfortable now. I feel like I've insulted a whole sector of society. So my apologies to all of you out there that have taken offense to this. As I told you at the beginning, this was not going to be the typical show. All right? All right, guys. Thank you for helping me. I'm going to be on tomorrow on the Freddie Show, right here on Critics page, on Guyanese Critics, produced by TBN. I'd like to thank my team. I'd like to thank everybody for doing this. This is our first show. We have lots more to come every Thursday at 7 p.m. We're going to be here. Please follow our social media pages. I see them on the bottom of the screen there. We're going to be uploading a lot of content, kind of keeping up to date with a lot of the trending issues, a lot of the content from these shows. And, you know, I really appreciate everybody joining us tonight. And I will see you all here tomorrow and the next week, Thursday. Take care.